Welcome back to Love Your Food. This week, after the cornbread dressing last week, we have the cornbread that goes into it. Super simple recipe for cornbread, works ideally in cast iron, although you can make this in a similar sized cake pan to the 10-inch cast iron skillet that we're using here. And a really simple and a delicious recipe. Let's get started with some ingredients. So we have all-purpose flour, we have corn flour, we have sugar, a little bit of salt, we have some baking powder, we have 1 egg, we have some cornmeal with some reserved to line our pan, some butter which we're going to melt, some milk in there as well, and that's the all-purpose flour that I was talking about at the beginning. And we're going to start just by getting our cast iron pan greased with a little bit of that butter, and you just want to spread that around nicely, give it a good coating, because we're going to coat this with cornmeal. It'll help it not stick to the pan. It shouldn't, anyway, especially if you've got a well-seasoned cast iron here, but it does give it a little nice texture on the outside as well. It makes it a little crispy, so we're going to use that small amount of cornmeal that we set aside there. I think it's a little under half a cup. And you're going to give it a nice coating and make sure that it's well coated with the cast iron, with the cornmeal, I should say. Now, as I said, if you don't have a cast iron skillet, we have a 10-inch cast iron skillet that this recipe fits perfectly in. If you don't have that, you can use a similarly sized cake pan as well. So we're going to get all of our dry ingredients together here. So we have our salt, our flour, our corn flour, the sugar, and the cornmeal, and the baking powder. And you want to make sure you get everything in there and well combined. You want to make sure that everything is mixed together really thoroughly in there, because our next stage is going to be adding the wet, and we don't want to have to stir it very much after that. So make sure that everything in there is just very evenly combined. A whisk or a fork is perfect for this. So there you go. Once you have a really nice even mixture, we are going to add the milk. And we're going to add our egg right now. So there you go. Add 1 egg. And then we're just going to start to combine this. We want to break up the egg. So you can see we're just going to give it a little tap, and we're just going to start blending the egg and the milk together, and then give it a slight mix. We just want to start to combine this, because once we add the butter, we're just going to stir it very briefly. So you can see we've not combined everything thoroughly here, and we're going to add our melted butter. So here comes the butter now. Once this hits the milk, you're going to see we're going to mix it really quickly. So there's our butter in. And make sure you get all of that out of there. Use a good scraper. And then we're just going to give it a really quick mix. You can see Chef Caleb here just giving it a nice little whisk there to make sure that it's all well combined. We didn't stir it very much before we added the butter, and now that the butter's in, we're just going to whip it very quickly. Not very much at all, until it's pretty uniform and there's no dry flour left at the bottom. The reason is if this overmixes, it just doesn't come out right. It's the texture is wrong, it becomes too dense. So we just want to mix it very, very quickly and until it's just combined. The other thing you want to do is you want to get that in the oven right away. You don't want to let the batter sit. It is made with baking powder, but it will become pretty gluey and it will not rise at all if it's allowed to sit for very long. So you want to get that into your pan. Just give it a quick little even out in your cast iron skillet there. And then get that into the oven as quick as you can. So there you go. Once it's nice and even in the pan, we're just going to pop that into the oven. And that's our oven preheated. We're going to put 20 minutes on there. That oven is at 375. So we're going to take a look at it. It's not ready yet, so we're going to give it a turn. We're going to put it back in there for another 15 minutes. Now that should be enough time. You'll know it's ready when it is, well, just about that color, honestly. Nice golden color. And if a knife comes out clean, as you can see there, that's pretty much it. So we're just going to let that cool just a little bit until it starts to pull away from the edge of the cast iron skillet. Or again, if you're using a cake pan, until it comes away just a bit from the edge of the cake pan. And then we're going to run a knife around the outside. Again, this is what the cornmeal was for. But we do want to let it cool on a cooling rack. So just give it a toss out. You can also do the flip where you put the rack on the cast iron and then flip it over and let it settle out onto the rack. You want to be pretty gentle. It's a fairly delicate bread, and that's it. That's the whole thing. So this is the cornbread recipe we used in our dressing last week. You can serve this with soups and stews. Amazing with some butter on it. There are possibilities to add as well. You can put a little bit of our hot pepper relish in there. You can even add a little bit of cheese in there if you want. And that's it. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any other recipes that you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.